Just another little bait tip for you. I hear a lot of people moan that they can't catch on casters and struggle on casters. Now, sometimes when you look at the state of the bait, you think, I'm not really surprised. So there's one or two little things that you can do, very simple things that you can do to make the bait a lot better and a lot more appetising. So it's largely irrelevant if you're carp fishing. A lot of the time when you're fishing for carp, they quite like bait that's a little bit off. But for skimmers, roach and things like that, I always think casters have got to be nice quality. So first thing to do when you get them from your shop is take them out of the bag that they come in. Quite often they'll be very pale and very soft. So you can just harden them up in a couple of ways. So if you want a nice mix of colours, which is my preference, just give them a light spray of water and just leave them out to air dry for an hour or two, not to go black and start floating, but just to air dry, just to crisp up, and the light coating of water will just make the skins a little bit crisper, and what that does, that allows you to bury the hook inside the bait if you want, and you have a much more appetising bait that the fish will prefer, rather than a soft skinned bait which becomes difficult to hook. So if you want a dark caster, so if you were just fishing for roach and you wanted all your casters to be that lovely brown chestnut colour, then if you did the same process but just in a wet towel, all the casters will come out the same colour after an hour or two, and you've got a lovely bait then for roach. Also what I do from shop casters is pick out all the dead skins. Naturally they haven't got time to do that in the shop, but they're the things that would go off and cause the bait to smell after a little while. And then the other thing is, normally they'll come to you in a polythene bag, and what you'll get after any length of time is the casters that touch that polythene will get what they call bag burn. They'll get discoloured and won't look very appetising at all. So there's two ways around that. To eliminate the bag burn, you can either put the casters into like a brown paper bag or newspaper to stop them getting in touch with the poly bag, and then put them in the poly bag, squeeze all the air out so they're not in contact with the plastic. But all I do is I just use poo bags. So when I just unhook my net, I've done that really well. Yeah, just poo bags that you get for your dog. I just use them, and they don't seem to cause the same level of bag burn as what polythene bags do. So I use that if I'm going abroad, or if I'm on a festival or want bigger quantities, I just use a black bin bag, and that eliminates that completely then. But just bear in mind, treat a caster like what you would a maggot. So if they're bagged up, they still need to breathe. So just open them every day, let them breathe for a little while. Don't let them go black and float, but just let them breathe a little bit. And then if you're doing your own, there's a couple of little steps that make it a lot better for you. When you get them, just make sure they've got loads of sawdust in them, because you want to keep them damp all the time. If they go dry, a maggot, like a worm, comprises of a lot of water. So as soon as they go dry, they start to shrink, and you lose a lot of the size. If you keep them damp, they keep really well. Now don't worry about them climbing out or anything like that. You can put a container inside a container if you're a little bit worried about it, but all I do is I just keep them in a tall bucket, and just make sure that sawdust is damp all the time. And what that makes is a very crisp, fresh caster each time you riddle it off. Now when you first get the maggots, it's important to keep riddling them. So even though there's no casters on there, if you keep riddling them, what you'll do is you'll get a few skins off each time you riddle. And then when they do start turning into casters, what you'll find, because all the skins have been removed, you'll get very few maggots that actually die while the casters are being produced. So you'll only have to pick out one or two skins then. And if you keep doing that and just riddle them every day, you'll have beautiful casters for the weekend. And it's a lot easier than what you think it might be. So it's well worth taking the extra time with with baits like that, just to get the best from them. So whether you buy them from the shop, just do those few extra little tips. If you produce your own, then try that as well, and I'm sure you'll get really nice bait as a result of it. So good luck.